In the following dramatization, note how a brother shows faith like that of sisters Ishi and Tum.
As the world went from bad to worse, I dug deeper into God's Word. I wanted to stay strong, like so many brothers and sisters in the past.
Those who remained faithful had no special abilities and were inconspicuous. Surely all of us must always trust in Jehovah with all our heart.
I memorized scriptures. I knew these words would build my faith and give me the strength I needed to face what was to come.
A new wave of arrests occurred this week as local authorities enforced new restrictions on Jehovah's Witnesses. This is coming just 14 days after the Supreme Court's ruling.
Trust in Jehovah and do what is good. Reside in the earth and act with faithfulness. Find exquisite delight in Jehovah, and He will grant you the desires of your heart. We had to be more discreet, but we never stopped talking about God's Word. We had to face many difficulties, but with God's Word embedded in our hearts, we faithfully endured to the end.
We've just been watching a dramatization in Gerrit Loesch's concluding symposium item, Imitate Women of Strong Faith, Modern Day Examples, and wow, they've done it again. We're right back where we started at the 2016 Remain Loyal to Jehovah convention, where they showed, of course, the bunker videos. They showed Jehovah's Witnesses cowering in a bunker as the authorities were out searching for them. And I guess this is the world outside of the bunker as imagined by the governing body. All a very crude, very obvious attempt at, again, terrifying Jehovah's Witnesses into thinking that the net is closing, that the authorities are or will be in some way fascinated at crushing their religion. There's even artwork, very famously, in the Pure Worship book. Tibor will overlay some now if he is gracious, showing an incident room where there are TV monitors showing Samuel Hurd and the Warwick headquarters and Jehovah's Witnesses preaching, as though this is the sort of thing that will one day preoccupy the world's intelligence agencies. It's just so silly, isn't it? This idea that Jehovah's Witnesses are so special and so uniquely Jehovah's one true organization that one day soon they will be on a level of, say, Al-Qaeda or ISIS or some other huge terrorist threat. That's the sense of urgency with the Bourne music and everything that we're getting in this dramatization. I love the little TV snippet that we got there where the news announcer said,
A new wave of arrests occurred this week as local authorities enforced new restrictions on Jehovah's Witnesses. This is coming just 14 days after the Supreme Court ruling.
I didn't quite catch the end, and obviously all of this is oh so fictitious. But to me, it sounded almost like they were saying this is coming just 14 days after the Supreme Court and then perhaps ruling.
Just 14 days after the Supreme Court ruling.
So apparently in the future there's going to be something involving Jehovah's Witnesses and the Supreme Court that's going to lead to a crackdown and restrictions exclusively on Jehovah's Witnesses in the United States. Interestingly, it wasn't so long ago where we did a Watchtower in Focus episode, thumbnail here if Tibor is gracious. We're now calling the show JW Watch. Back then it was Watchtower in Focus. Anyway, we were talking about the JW versus Watchtower lawsuit that got taken all the way to the Supreme Court. And in this particular motion, maybe I'm wording things not quite precisely, but Watchtower essentially petitioned the United States Supreme Court over its perceived freedoms to cover up abuse. I'm not exaggerating. They literally went to the Supreme Court and said, look, the Catholics are allowed to receive confessions. The Catholics are allowed to handle evidence of crime on clergy penitence grounds. Why should we be discriminated against as Jehovah's Witnesses when we keep this sort of information in, and these were their exact words, intrafaith communications? We should be able to have intrafaith communications, i.e. emails and forms and electronic information flying around between multiple people. We should be able to have this as our process, even if it's allowing abuse to stay covered up. And thankfully, mercifully, the Supreme Court threw out that petition. If they hadn't thrown it out, if they'd perhaps have gone along with this idea, if they'd ruled in Watchtower's favor, imagine the connotations, not just for Jehovah's Witnesses, but for all religions in America. They would all effectively be allowed to keep their secret databases of sex offenders. So I just found that little Easter egg interesting. It seems that the makers of this video have an axe to grind with the Supreme Court. So they've included just a little bit in there in what the news announcer was saying in that, again, fictitious broadcast. But wow, just again, as with all of the dramatizations, it's so unrealistic and it's so obviously designed to terrify Jehovah's Witnesses, play on their emotions, and make them buy into a narrative that serves only the governing body and its aspirations.